Where I'll ask you later.
The technology's surpassed
It's
the
better,
CD-ROM.
But you
But I was doing it in
you did it
1995.
earlier.
So one of the things that I just wanted to make sure everyone has before we move on is being able to to rotate and move the text. And I just want to say that once you lay the text box, and I know we're kind of getting at capacity, I know when you're kind of learning a new program, the amount of time that you can take to still be present, I understand. We're kind of getting to that place. But once you type in a text box and make a text box, it acts like a symbol. So you can tap it once, the blue dots and the blue encasing appears, and then if you touch right on the blue dots, you can change the size of the text box. And then if you tap off so that there are no blue dots, when you touch right on the text, it will turn red, and then you can move it anywhere. And then if you move it right underneath your floor plan, so you move it right underneath your floor plan, 2 fingers to double tap in that floor plan, and if you slide the box, and this is all in the video, so if you miss it now, it'll come back around because I want to save time to discuss. But if you slide the caption,
I was going to say that just disappeared.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just
double tapped it.
But if you slide the caption, you can make it big enough to encase the text, and then when you move that floor plan, the whole oops, it should move with it. Didn't.
Oh, I see.
It should be encased there. For some reason, that didn't work. It used to work. All right, that's a note that I have to give David. Yeah.
And I also asked, I don't know if Labanotation can do this, but the assumption again is that people only dance in proscenium stages.
Right.
Can we have village plazas and circles?
I think so. I mean, so one of the things,
Different floor plans.
Yes.
That's what you need.
yeah. So one of the, I don't see why not. One of the things that we did is in this first iteration, we're trying to bring over things that are in Laban Writer, and so, but the floor plan is in Laban Writer, yeah. But it doesn't. But there is. There's no reason why we can't sort of change what kind of floor plan there is. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, just like you in Laban Writer, you just could draw a circle, you could draw a triangle, and make that be your floor plan. If this has drawing in it, then you just make a drawing of it.
To look like text.
Yeah, that's nice just
I did it my first time.
Yeah, and I think, maybe one thing that we could do is one of the ways that you could, alter the floor plan on the double tap, there could be one of these sliders to change the shape.
Oh,
I think
that
that
would
might be the
neat.
easiest way to do it.
That would be great.
Because you still want it to be active so you can put the people in there.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, but
Yeah,
because
so
on
that's
Laban
the
Writer,
change the
you could
shape.
just draw the.
I don't understand.
Yeah, and then you can see it morph. Yeah.
That would be
Morphing floor plans.
Morphing floor plans.
Suddenly
Just
jump
when you're indoors, you could do it this
You
way.
did
When
it!
you're outdoors, you
How did you make that happen?
I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, did you draw the? No, you can't draw that. How did you get? But how did you do that?
Like you do in Laban Writer. You can manipulate a disappear symbol.
You use a line and then you add the arrow to it.
Yeah, so I did a duration line,
You
Right.
do duration
and then I
yeah.
just took the disappear.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or the approach.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just
In the
manipulate
Laban
because you
Writer,
can
you-
sketch it.
Excellent. If you're looking up at the top, there's in a question mark in a circle. If you tap once on that question mark in a circle, 2 different things come up. One is KineScribe Help, the other is KineScribe Information. They both take you to the KineScribe website. The KineScribe Help takes you directly to the KineScribe sort of help manual. And all of this stuff is laid out there for you. And then KineScribe Information is just the main homepage.
So,
Yeah, and one thing I will note as you're looking through, the screenshots that we took are largely from before we upgraded to OS 7, so they're going to look a little different, but they work the same. The early version of this when it could only draw symbols, and I brought it into an introductory modern class, and I paired my students up in pairs and then told them each to make a small phrase, and then each group motifed their phrase just with the directions. It was even before there were levels, so it was just directions
on their phones.
on their iPads or on a classroom set. They didn't have their own, and then they traded the iPad with another group. and performed the motif of the other, and kind of did the motif of the other group, and then all 4 students for each sort of set performed side by side, and so they could kind of see choreographically the different possibilities that you have with sort of a
Same
discrete
thing we
set
used
of
to do with
symbols.
paper and
But you
pencil.
can do it with paper and pencil, yeah. So I think, I think in terms of, I have some ideas kind of for broader down the road implications. Right now, it's step 1. This is, by far not the final version. It's by far not like the bells and whistles that it could have. Right now, as with Laban Writer, it is kind of like the computerized version of pen and paper. The thing that my students are into is that, they are of a generation where they have grown up on screens. And they understand how to use this technology. And so for them, it's just something else they can do with the screen, and that's exciting. And, kind of the way that you can manipulate the symbols has been exciting. I used it a little bit in my notation class this fall, but we advanced faster than the symbols that we had to work with. So we couldn't use it for very long, because one of the things that David and I prioritized was kind of doing a little bit for everybody. There it is. there's the promotional video. We wanted to do a little bit for everybody instead of a lot for a few, so we did prioritize kind of getting symbols that Labanotation and Motif and Language of Dance could all kind of use working, and the stretchables working. So things like putting a pin in a turn sign is not there. It is there, we're working on it now, so it will happen. Or, toe hooks and all of this thing. So there are different ways that we're thinking of making all of this stuff happen, and it's going to be a different way for the symbols to exist digitally than is in Laban Writer, and it's a way that is kind of on this newer sort of wave of computing that David is in. So that's kind of where that's going. But what I would love to maybe talk with you all about is in terms of like score rental, how that might work with the iPad, and sharing scores, and then also kind of in terms of notating, eventually it will get up to the professional level. And Sandra, you were just like blazing on there. That was amazing.
But I have something else I want to say about notators.
Yeah,
that's not the direction you probably were thinking.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But I will say that I have like dreams. I don't know if it's ever going to happen. Where if there's a little patch on the screen, and this works in the Chinese keyboard if you go into the Chinese keyboard. But there's like a little patch, and you kind of draw a suggestion or a shorthand, and then it prints the character. So I would love for that to happen, so that you can use the shorthand, or we can. I know that Anne has a shorthand. We can define a shorthand, so that it's actually easier to sort of get things down quicker. Because I know it's not that fast, but right now I think it's much more on sort of a student level. But
notators even want a more intelligent program, because we want to. Years ago, this is a discussion we had 25 years ago.
wow.
When with the first Smithsonian Mac came out, our dream is that a computer and Laban Writer program would become so smart that, because when you go into rehearsal, because every notator's computer appears unique, how you write and your handwriting and everything, the actual score is quite messy, but it's always, that's what's holding us up as far as time and money, is because we have to go through so many levels of rewriting the same information over and over again. And the dream has always been is that somehow, and I don't know how it can happen, because we're not really doing relative length. We're just plotting down symbols, but we do basically work on a one-line staff, that the computer or the program is smart enough to at least lay it out on a 3-line staff, kind of relative to where it's supposed to belong, and maybe recognize when you get further out that it's arms, because there is a logic even in a rough draft in how the score's laid out, but then that the computer is smart enough to extrapolate and get a rough. Of course, it may take some adjustment. You say, no, that's not an arm, that's my head, right. Or whatever. But it's always, that's the issue, is that scores take so long to do, and it would be cutting down the time and the effort and and then we could actually go into rehearsals with cleaner scores much faster and finish
And get
scores
some- get
a
some
lot
scores.
faster.
It's all doable,
When you
it's just a
come-
question of money.
I
When you
know,
come over
but
to
that's the
With
dream.
me.
That's our
Because it-
dream.
Also, go ahead, what were you guys?
Well, no, I mean, if they can do it by dragon speaking, and if they can do handwriting analysis, which it also starts to get trained by the way.
Yeah, they
in
know
which
your
people
gestures,
do.
so
They
you
know
can map your gestures for those
your mess
with
is
Labanotation
going to
to
end up
Mickey's-
But
to
every
automatically.
mess, but every mess is different
But
depending
that's
on
right,
the
that's
score.
what it does. That's what Dragon does. Every person speaks differently.
But
and
they
it
start
learns to
seeing
recognize
algorithms of
How you,
It knows
how you
your,
learns
it knows
notate,
you.
your personality,
It
your
learns how
notation
you are,
personality.
but you might-
But then to
Way of working.
extrapolate that information and put it on the staff, that's
Right.
much more complex.
Well, but it's the same kind of thing
It's all-
because it
it's all
takes your
doable.
voice
yeah.
and your inflections and then it puts it into an English word on the page.
Yes,
They-
but the spoken word is less complicated than notation is. You should well know that.
But
No,
Yes.
but
When
great.
you
Look
have
at your
symbols
voice
all over
pattern.
the page,
no, because
I
the
think
voice
I don't-
pattern,
I
the
don't
voice
know. The
patterns
problem is not
Voice
that
patterns
you don't
sound
need
discreet.
it.
and
It's
accents,
millions of
it's
dollars.
accents and idioms.
I mean, you still have
yeah,
to
but
edit,
my
but it
my
gets
writing's
around
not
things.
consistent.
Right.
I'm not always putting
I mean, 'cause
arms
they can do that with
in the
great
same
short.
No, but the
place.
symbol
And
is
everybody's
discrete.
handwriting is a little
different.
different
Have
as
edges
well.
and
But
shapes.
Have you
people
done it
could
with
be
shorthand?
However,
Yeah,
very
they've done something
sound
similar
isn't
to
discrete,
that.
but
Have you,
it's
have you,
not-
Hannah,
it's
heard?
That's the most helpful thing.
It's doable.
We just get some
Too
home
many,
security.
too many
I think Hannah should
conversations.
just get it.
Decide who says.
This is amazing.
Great.
Can I ask a question? Will there be access to different fonts in the text?
Eventually,
Thing?
but right now, no. But right now, I think it's just Helvetica that's in there. Laban Writer does have whatever fonts are loaded on your computer, so hopefully someday, yeah.
I want to write non-Western languages. They
Oh,
don't-
non-Western,
They
yeah.
don't fit.
Yeah, currently no, but I'll put it on the
Keep
list.
in mind.
Yeah.
Leave some
Yeah.
open slates.
Yeah.
Have any of your students fantasized or said, oh, this is, maybe we should do this, do that, or fellow teachers, or have you any, I'd be interested in hearing in terms of application and how they're imagining this could be used?
Yeah, well, some of my students. So I've had two groups of students so far play with this. The first group was the one that I actually got the most feedback from, and that was the introductory modern class where they just had the directions, and that was also a group of students who really aren't dancers. Some of them are, and some of them are not, or they, of course, they are dancers, but they didn't have a lot of training coming into the class, and so they actually had kind of more ideas for where this could go necessarily than my upper level students. But also I used it a lot more with them than I did with my upper level students. So they mostly had ideas for kind of improving the program itself, for how to sort of arrange things on the screen. But I think, and it was also, that was the first time that they were introduced to the concept of notation, so they were really excited about that. And so and I would have to kind of go back to my notes because I don't have right at the front of my brain things that they necessarily said, oh, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this, but they just thought it was cool that one could notate movement, and they had very specific ideas for how to fix the app. Yeah, but then kind of broadly across my students, I mean, video always comes up, right? Being able to kind of have a little
Right.
video clip in there. Music, and one thing I think would be great is to be able to somehow sync up, music with it. If you have some
that
kind of
would be
auto
great.
scroll function. I mean, right now you can put on music in the iTunes and then kind of multitask and get over there, so you can have it playing at the same time. But it would be nice if there would be somewhere for it to be connected. Yeah.